So without any further ado, I would like to bring up Rahul Sood, wherever he is. Where's Rahul Sood? So Rahul, first of all, thank you very much for being here.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me.
Yes.
Thank you, WeWork.
Yes.
You guys are great.
An awesome WeWork team. So it's been 1 full year. Every year we see each other.
Yep. It's actually, I don't think it's been 1 full year. We started this thing it feels like 9 months ago-ish.
Maybe it was, maybe it was
Right?
a little shorter than that.
Yeah.
So let's just start out with, and by the way, I have a list of questions that, one, I never get through. Some of these have been actually sent to the audience. Some of you have sent me questions to ask Rahul, but I've got a full list of questions that I never get through. But some of these are interesting, some of them maybe not so. But one of the things I'd like to start with is tell us, for the person who's not an eSports fan or even know what eSports is, tell us what the hell is eSports?
Sure. So who doesn't know what eSports is? Raise your hand. Okay, good. So who knows what eSports is? Wow, that's amazing. Good God.
Part of that's why they're here, is because they know what it is.
That's amazing, though. I have to say it's amazing. If I had asked that in any other audience, there'd be like one person raising their hand on what they know what it is. But eSports is it's like a giant spectacle. You can go. You imagine you're going to a stadium. Say you're going to Key Arena, right? And you're watching what is an elaborate game show type environment. I'll say, right? So you're sitting in the stands. And you're watching teams of 5-on-5 play against each other on games like Dota or League of Legends. But unlike basketball, like basketball might be a 3 to 4 hour game, football 4 hours, whatever. This is like a 3-day event. So people come back day after day after day to a pretty much sold out arena. They get engaged in the game. They are hooting and hollering. It's really fun to watch. And then there's hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people online watching and chatting with each other at the same time. So eSports is ridiculous. It's crazy, and people that don't understand it really should start to spend some time with their kids maybe to understand it, because it is a growing thing. It's here to stay, and it's only going to get bigger.
Yeah. Well, I read some things, obviously doing some research for this event, and it's a 250 to $600 million industry. I mean, it's not like there's just people are walking away from these events with $1 million. I mean, people make a lot of money doing this. Yeah. I mean, there's some people that, ex-pro gamers who stream online that make, like $1 million a year or more, some of them, just streaming, Yeah. So there's money to be made. What's interesting is, like, I look at some of the top gamers, like Faker as an example. You may not know who Faker is, but he's a South Korean League of Legends player. He's unbelievable. Like, if you think of Michael Jordan playing League of Legends or not. This kid has 2 shoe sponsors, man. 2. Like, what athlete do you know that has 2 shoe sponsors? So he's got 2 shoe sponsors. He's making millions of dollars a year playing League of Legends, and he's just amazing. Yeah. Really cool. Yeah. Well, let's take a step back and so you, literally 1 year ago, you were at Microsoft.
I was.
You were there.
I was making the grind at Microsoft.
Yes, you were making the grind happen at Microsoft. So that was 12 months ago.
How many of you are with Microsoft today? Okay, good. So I know there's people in the audience from Microsoft.
Yeah, there's a few. There's always a few.
Microsoft's a wonderful company. Actually, they really are. It's a great company.
Yeah. So 1 year ago, you're there. You're obviously in the background. You're doing some planning. You don't just leave, without any planning. But
I left without planning. I literally left without planning. I kid you not. You can ask Netta, she'll tell you this. It took me 30 seconds to make a decision and like a 1-line email. I left without planning.
Well, but you'd already done some investigative work with Carl.
So let's be clear about this. So the investigative work I did with Carl, by the way, Carl is my wonderful partner,
yes.
And if he's not here, but we have a shrine of Carl in my office, and I'll share it with you later.
Yeah, so it's quite interesting, the shrine. Yeah.
Anyways, Carl is my partner. He's from Australia. He had a company that Microsoft, invested in. The company was called Pinion, and we, as in, it was actually the Bing Fund. So me, whatever. He was one of the first investments we made, yep. And I love the company. I like Carl a lot. I like the company a lot. And, we just were talking about Pinion, and I was actually trying to get him acquired by Razer. Razer's another gaming company.
Sure.
And so really the amount of planning that went into it was Carl was constantly beating me up about working at Microsoft. He said, like, what are you doing working at Microsoft? And he's horrible. I mean, he's a bully. When it comes to that stuff, he really bullied me into it. And he said, like, you're going to be there for life. You're never going to leave. You're not an entrepreneur. He just did say stuff to me that would just egg me on like crazy. I love the guy. He's amazing. But actually, the plan was that he was going to be CEO of Unikrn. I was just going to invest and and be on the board, right, and just kind of help him go. I created the brand with him. We had it going, but I just made a quick decision to leave Microsoft. So yeah.
Okay, that's great. So tell us. Okay, so a year ago today, or close to it, a year ago, you made a decision to leave Microsoft, and within a few very short months, you raised a bit of money.
A few days.
Yeah, a few days.
Yeah.
So tell us, because from an outsider looking in, it looks like it's a short term, it's like a immediate success, like holy crap, how they do it so quickly. I mean, there was some work being put in there. Carl was not just sitting on his hands in Australia. So tell us kind of some of the steps you did to plant those seeds to get things started. So raising the money, it was quick, but it wasn't because it was quick. It was because you guys had done some things to make it be quick.
Raising money is a bit of an art and science, right? There's a gentleman in the back there wearing a sweatshirt standing up who has a smug look on his face. He's smiling. Everyone can look back there and see. His name is Matt Mickelson. Matt is a great friend and just a really smart person. I know his wife. His wife is the founder of a company called Gunnar. She created Gunnar Optics. Gunnar Optics is a eyeglass company that really just specialized in gaming for a while to build their brand. And they're one of the only eyeglass companies that hasn't been bought by Luxottica, right? So they're an independent company that I promise you will get acquired by Oakley, Luxottica, whatever, at some point in time. But bottom line is I knew her, and I worked at Microsoft and at Ventures. All we did was help companies raise money, right? And it doesn't matter where you are, whether you're in Seattle, whether you're in Calgary, whether you're in the Valley. Raising money is a bit of an art, and it's a bit of storytelling, and it's being able to to show that you have something that's actually really compelling. So the one thing you need to do when you raise money is think strategically about who do you need to bring on that's going to add value to your business. It ain't your mom, and it's definitely not your brother, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's nobody in your family, actually. Not at the beginning.
Unless your family is in a certain spot.
Oh, sure. Unless your family is like, Mark Zuckerberg, right? It's a problem to go after friends and family first. So what I did was I spoke to Jenny, and I said, hey, I got this thing we're working on. I'd love to talk to Matt about it, because I knew that Matt had invested in Uber and he invested in Palantir, and he's just a really well-connected guy. So she said, sure. She introduced me to Matt. And then I had a 5-minute conversation with Matt, and Matt said, yep, I'm in. And it was basically, he came on as an angel investor. And then from there, we then created an opportunity for people. So I have a lot of people in my network that I brought in. And we were on constant phone calls with each other talking about how to build out the strategy and this and that. And it turned out that we raised $2.5 million in about 8 days. And then at the same time, I was getting calls. I was getting hammered by a couple of other people who really wanted to get in on the deal. And so we made a little bit of room, and we opened it up to raise $3 million. So we opened up $500,000. And then we talked to a few different VCs, and from the Valley, and a number of VCs didn't understand what we were doing. They liked the CEO, the partners, the team. They liked the direction we were going, but they weren't sure what to make of it. But there was this one guy who is a very special investor. His name is Jonathan Teo, and he is just an incredible human being. First of all, really nice guy, and he's also very well known for early investing in Snapchat, Twitter, Instagram. His partner invested in Whisper, TaskRabbit. I mean, these guys are spotted the best of the best. And Matt introduced me to him. And I had conversations with Jonathan over the months. And Jonathan agreed to advise us at the beginning. And he just watched he helped us pivot our company at the beginning. And then, a few months later, we weren't even planning on raising any money, but a few months later we decided, let's do the Series A, and boom, we raised $7 million, like almost, instantly. So, yeah.
And for those of you out there who are starting to raise money for the first time, that's not normal. It's FYI. It's not normal. So that has a lot to do with, one, your network, and two, the idea.
Actually, it has a lot to do with the idea and the team and the product and the vision, and the network is just a small piece of it, because it doesn't matter how good your network is. If your idea is shit, no one's going to invest in you. Yeah. And that's something that people need to understand. It is not who you know, because I promise you, I did not have a way to get to Matt or to Jonathan Taylor or anybody for that matter. I mean, yes, I worked at Ventures, and yes, I talked to lots of VCs. There's plenty of VCs that would have invested in this thing, but you have to find people that are smart in the space that you're in. I found people that are smart in A, consumer branding, and B, gaming and entertainment. That's what I wanted, right? Yeah. And we have some amazing investors in the entertainment side. We have people that are completely aligned with our vision that are investing in us. Another company that invested in us is Tabcorp. They're one of the largest publicly traded betting companies in the world. They're a $12 billion company. They invested in our seed round first before anybody, right? And they did because they loved our vision for esports. They loved where we were going, and they came in. So Mike, I got to tell you, man, it's really, if you have a great idea and you have you can identify the total addressable market and how you're going to get there, people will invest.
People will find you.
People will find you, or you will find them through people.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if you have the great idea, and obviously you got to have some kind of team.
Look, I even talked to VCs in Seattle. I gave a couple people an opportunity. There was one guy I wanted to get in on it, just one person from Seattle. There was a couple of VCs that I talked to, just a complete waste of time.
Sure.
But it's not because the VCs are a waste of time, whatever. The conversations were a waste of time. They were mind-numbing, because the problem was that they weren't aware of the esports space, and it was really hard to explain, sure. Right? But there's one guy that's fantastic that I know. His name is Frank Artali. They call him the golden finger or something, because everything he touches turns into gold. He's a wonderful person, right? So I went to Frank at Ignition, and I said, Frank, I got this idea. I don't want, I don't think it makes sense for Ignition to come in, because Ignition is really, they're just an enterprise, investor or whatever. So I said, I'd love you to come in. He goes, done, in. So Frank just made a quick decision and got in on his own. I wanted him in because he's a statesman in Seattle. He knows a lot of people at Microsoft. It was cool, having him on board. So.
Yeah, no, he's definitely one you want to have on your team. So tell us, you've got a company now. You've got some money in the bank. What's been what's been the thing that because for those of you who don't know Rahul's story, he's an entrepreneur, went to Microsoft for several years, and then back to an entrepreneur. So it's not that he hasn't done it before he went to Microsoft. So what was it like going back to being an entrepreneur, coming from Microsoft after? You were there not forever. But,
I was there for 3.5 or 4 years, right?
What were the things like you kind of had to relearn?
Luckily, I don't think I was there long enough to have the Borg wound into me too far. No, I mean this in a way that you've got to understand when you're working in a big company for a long time, you end up getting bogged in process and things like that make it really hard to kind of execute quickly. But I always had an entrepreneurial mindset inside Microsoft. Even at Ventures, we only hired entrepreneurs, and I think it was at the point where I was in an event in Berlin, and I was doing a talk just after Steve Ballmer went up and opened up the accelerator for us. I went up and I was talking to a bunch of entrepreneurs about being an entrepreneur. And in my head, I'm thinking, what are you doing? I'm up there talking to entrepreneurs about being an entrepreneur. I'm getting a fat-ass paycheck from Microsoft. I'm not an entrepreneur anymore. What am I doing, right? So I'm lecturing these people, and then I saw myself leave my body and look at myself from the audience, and I thought, this isn't working for me anymore, right? I am lecturing people how to be an entrepreneur. It's killing me inside that I'm not doing this anymore. But what I learned is more important than what I had to unlearn. I learned that working in a big company as an entrepreneur is one of the hardest things you'll ever do, first of all. But second of all, I learned that to collaborate in teams and to get things done inside a big company, you have to learn how to take no for an answer. Not when to take no or whatever, it's how to take no. Because if somebody tells you no, no means yes in a big company, right? It means you have to find someone else and you have to figure out a way to get around the no to turn it into a yes. Otherwise, you'll never innovate inside that company. And so I learned that. And that experience at Microsoft was probably the best experience of my life. I loved it. I thought it was amazing. It was a great moment in my career, getting in and getting out. You know, I don't regret a day of it.
Yeah. But what was the thing that you, I guess, what did you think that you cherished when you started back being an entrepreneur? Like, holy shit, I kind of forgot about doing this. What was that thing?
Oh yeah, I'll tell you. Every time I would do anything PR related at Microsoft, it was like, no, it's never going to happen, right? You know, I think I got called into. I think Netta can probably tell you. I got called into the PR office, the head of PR, a few times for saying something stupid.
Sure.
So I relish in the fact that the day I left Microsoft and started Unikrn, like a few days later I was on CNBC.
Yeah, you
like,
could say whatever you wanted.
There's no way in hell that would have happened at Microsoft. CNBC called, they want me to be on. Nope, not going to happen, right? And here I am on CNBC talking about this company that no one knows anything about. How the hell does that happen, right?
Yeah.
They want to talk about Unikrn, you know, and like I'm doing nothing. Like it's a company of nothing right now. It's like a Seinfeld company, you know, at the time. And I'm being asked to be on CNBC. How amazing is that, right? And it was just such a great opportunity to kind of weave the story and tell it and get people excited about it. And it was after that things just started to go like crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, so that PR thing,
Yeah.
you don't have to go through legal or any of that crap.
No. The only legal we have is Bryce, and he's back in his office right now. But you know, the joke about Bryce is he's not a real lawyer, but
Yeah,
he is.
but he is.
Joe is a real lawyer, by the way. Joe Whelan's our other lawyer.
Exactly. He's a real lawyer.
Yeah,
yeah.
So he does all the real law work.
That goes through his desk
Exactly.
at some point in time. Yeah.
Just kidding, Bryce. He's not here, so it's okay.
How do you describe your company to your mom?
How do I describe the company to my mom? First, I briefly explain to her what eSports is. And I say, you know, Mom, Unikrn is the theme park of eSports. We are a theme park. In our theme park, we have a casino. And that casino only lets certain people in, people that are legally allowed to come into the casino and bet on games. We also have other attractions that we're just about to launch, which we launched yesterday, which was the Unicoin. And the Unicoin allows us to have people in non-betting markets to come on, earn coins. They can then take those coins and they can stack them by betting. And then they can take those coins that are stacked and they can redeem them for opportunities to win really great prizes from our partners like Alienware and Gunner, and you know, we've got Case King in there. We have Logitech. We have all these really cool prizes.
So they actually mean something.
Yeah, they totally mean something. Yeah, and we're so proud of the Unicoin that, you know, we say it's never going to be a currency that gets you know given away, unless you're the keeper of the coins is Arthur. He's here somewhere. He's giving coins away to people like it's water, and we're shutting that down. But yes, it's actually worth something. Oh, and by the way, you know, we didn't really talk about the whole investment thing. Like, so yeah, we got Jonathan Teo on board, and then all of a sudden we got another celebrity on board, which we haven't talked about. But we got Mark Cuban. So the second time I was on CNBC, I get an email from Mark Cuban saying, "Hey, you know, esports is great. Congratulations." And you know, my history, I had a history with Mark Cuban before when I was at Voodoo. He used to mentor me. A little bit, like not a lot, but a little bit. He actually mentored me through the HP acquisition. He took nothing for it. He was just really helpful about it. And then over the years, I kind of lost touch with him. You know, I joined Microsoft. He asked me a few things, and we had a few email exchanges back and forth. But I completely lost touch with the guy. And then I get on CNBC, and I get a one-liner from him saying, "Congratulations, good job." And I wrote him back. I said, "Thank you. Esports is big. I appreciate it. Hey, by the way, I would have let you know, but you know we're already past the point."
Sure.
And he said, "Yeah, I usually like to invest in seed, but send me your pitch deck and I'll take a look." I said, "Sure." I sent it to him and he wrote back, "I'm in," and he CC'd a bunch of people on his team, and then it was over. So Mark Cuban jumped in just like that.
Yeah.
So, you know, things start to snowball when you hit a certain point. That's the part that doesn't work. That doesn't happen with all startups.
Yeah.
That's the part where you say, "Wow, pinch me." You know, when you get a call from someone on Ashton Kutcher's team, right, who says Ashton would like to invest in your company, you do not ask questions about who Ashton is, or you don't say anything. You just say yes, done, right?
We'll figure it out.
That stuff doesn't happen every day. So
yeah, that's very the unnormal.
Yeah.
But hey, one thing that we've got to do, that, and you just mentioned it, is all of you are sitting in a chair, and underneath certain chairs, there's actually coins that he just talked about. They're underneath, stuck under the chair. So everybody check under your chair. You'll have a white envelope. Some of you, and if you're sitting next to an empty chair, take that one as well. So there's only, I think 10. Is that right, Netta? Is there 10? 10.
Yeah. There were 20 coins each. If you want to try it, you can. There's also one chair here with a car underneath it, thanks to Oprah. So I have to find that chair.
So thank Unikrn for that. But you now have some coin to go out and play with. Yeah. So I actually forgot about doing that, but. So one of the things that is critical to your success actually in going forward is the team that you've built. I've been lucky enough to talk to Carl and chat with him for a few minutes, and he is an awesome partner.
Yeah.
But tell me how you've gone about building your team. So far. I mean, how many people do you have now, Rahul?
30-ish. If I count, so we have 2 people in Croatia now. We have 7 or 8 people in Berlin. I'm not sure if it's 7 or 8 now. We have to do a count there and see. But it's 7 or 8 people. We have a couple people in Australia, and then we have something like 15 people here in Seattle.
Okay.
It's a group of people, no question.
So tell us, what do you think has been challenging for that? I mean, obviously you have to build the Unikrn culture. I mean, there's things that have to do. Tell us some things.
So culture is the biggest challenge that we've gone through, right? It's when we first started the company, Jason was there. I interviewed this guy over League of Legends games. We played day and night for at least 2 weeks. And we talked a lot, in those games, and and there's a few people that we hired that way. Our head of design is a League of Legends player, and I played with him, and we brought him from Canada. We have a lot of players here, and so interviewing people was an interesting process. You learn a lot about people by playing a game of League with them. You really do.
Sure.
You learn whether they're a good leader, whether they work well under pressure, whether they're an asshole or not. Like, you learn how they collaborate with people. You learn all of that stuff by playing a game with them, and so that's how things kind of started. Ned and I were talking recently about how when we first moved into the space, it was like December, we were hanging Christmas lights up, right? And people at WeWork were wondering what the hell these guys are doing. We had one 6-person office, we were hanging Christmas lights up, and we were just like, okay, let's get to work. And it was just me and her, just starting to think. We were waiting for Carl to come, right? Yeah. And so I think our biggest challenge is maintaining that culture, right? We've had people join the company, and it's tough because it's a balance of being entrepreneurial, right? And as many of you know, as entrepreneurs, it's hard to hire people who are willing to make risks, right? Or take a risk and may not get paid as much as they get at Amazon or Microsoft, but they have significant upside by working with a company like ours. So they take stock equity, and they take, our benefits are amazing and all of that other stuff. But the culture of having multiple people from all over the world, whether it's from India, Australia, Croatia, Berlin, here, it is a very, very tough thing to do. It's probably the hardest thing that I've done is trying to get the team kind of like on one culture and think as a team. And it's getting a lot better, but it was hard. Culture is probably the most important thing for any company, including startups.
Where are you? Like, what are your sources to help you guide that and learn things that maybe you don't know or you're not doing well? What are your sources for that? People or
No, look, there's no. Did you say Google?
No,
Google
I
culture?
said people.
Oh, people, yeah.
Just Google it.
Just Google culture and
it's all good.
Learn about it.
Yeah.
No, culture it comes from experience, right? It comes from building teams. I've been doing this for a very long time, and every time I get into a team or a new product or a new company, it's always been about culture. I always say culture is the most important thing. People get tired of hearing it. Culture is the most important thing. These guys probably pull their hair out when I say it, but it is, and it's really about listening and getting to know people, right, on a personal level. when I first joined Microsoft, Netta was there, right? And so she supported me right when I was the GM of the hallway. And then, ended up going from being a hallway GM to Xbox and having like 4 different managers and almost getting fired, then moving over to Bing and then running the Bing fund, then starting Microsoft Ventures. But she probably never saw this, but I always told her that, the one thing that she does really well is she gets to know people and she can measure the temperature of the culture. And so she gives me feedback on, how people are doing. That type of stuff is so important to building a team. If you have that ear and you can kind of listen and hear it, then you can then that's how you do it, right? You learn from the people that you work with how to build a culture, right?
Yeah.
You can't learn from books how to do it.
Yeah.
It's just not.
Well, I mean, yeah, you can understand the concepts, but
That's right.
Yeah, that's
right.
As far as you can go. What do you think? Let's talk a bit about the industry, because you can't bet in the U.S.
You cannot bet in the U.S. You can do fantasy, which is a convoluted product of lobbying and protectionism, and it's a bullshit way to gambling, but you can do that.
Yeah.
And so they don't call it gambling, they call it fantasy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So when do you think that's going to change?
Lawyer Bryce is in the background screaming right now in his head saying, don't say too much. Because I can hear his voice from here, and he's completely silent right now.
Yes. So it kind of explain the landscape. So if you're in a different country, you can bet.
Yeah. If you're in a different country, if you're in a specific country, you can bet. So look, starting a online gambling, anything, right? Like we're a theme park, right? We got a casino. I said this already, but our casino is gambling. To do that, there's a very high barrier to entry. The fact that we're able to get to this point in 9 months is unbelievable. The barrier to entry is A, liquidity, being able to manage bets and manage risk, and B, the regulation, and then of course the technology that goes behind it, right? Unikrn is the technology company. We built the world's first eSports book on the cloud, and it's automated. It's almost automated. It took us 9 hours to do odds for. It used to take 9 hours to do the odds for a one tournament. Now it's taking minutes. And so we're putting this on the cloud. We're automating it. It's getting better and better. So we built technology around it, and then we went to Tabcorp and we found a partner. Which is, this is the thing. Whether you're in healthcare or whether you're in something else, finding a partner to bust down those barriers to entry will change your life. And that's what we did. We busted down the liquidity issue and the issue of regulatory.
They have large money behind them.
They have large money behind them. They have all the licenses. They added our names to all of the licenses. So we're going region by region. We opened up in Australia, then we went to the UK, then we went to the Republic of Ireland, and now we're in other places coming. In the meantime, we said, hey, look, we are getting tons of press and that sort of thing. We need to capture the market that we're not playing in. So we have to do something about this. And so we came up with the Unicoin concept. And we said, let's really make this engaging, because honestly, man, you know what our mission is? Our mission is not to be a gambling company. Our mission is to heighten the experience and increase engagement of people that are watching or participating in esports. Okay. And ask anyone in this room who watches sports, there's no better way to heighten your experience on a sport than to put a bet on it, right? You make it interesting. So we did the Unicoin thing to gamify that experience, and it's been an interesting experiment. It's fun.
And do you think in the U.S. is it imminent that it's going to change, or is it still could be it's a toss of the coin? It may or may not change in the next 5-10 years.
I'm talking
about obviously betting.
Yeah. So I think in the U.S., I'm going to go back to what I said first. I said that fantasy is a product of protectionism and government lobbying. There is a reason that our government is so big and inefficient, and people who lobby against gambling or have a vested interest in doing that, right? Sure. They aren't doing it for the good or whatever. They're not doing any of that, right? So it's just like gun lobbying, all the other kind of lobbying that goes on. So fantasy is a product of that. I think that will end at some point, right? Yeah. And I do believe that betting on sports will be legalized. Look, Adam Silver says it's something that should happen. He's the head of the NBA. Lots of people say that. Mark Cuban wouldn't have invested in our company if he didn't believe, that we're onto something.
Yeah.
The bottom line is betting on sports should be legal because it guarantees a lot of things. It guarantees player integrity. There's no better way to spot cheating than through betting. It does heighten the experience. It does make things interesting. And as long as you practice responsible betting and you promote that, then there's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah.
So So I believe it'll happen. I mean, we got into this thing, and and I think over time it'll happen. So.
And what part of the industry right now do you think is kind of the overlooked part of the industry where people aren't paying any attention to?
You mean which industry?
Your esports.
Well, the esports part.
Esports is the industry.
Outside of this room, nobody knows what it is yet, right? Except for people's kids.
Yeah.
The fact is that there was. If I think about how many millions of people, there's like 200 million people that are fans of esports. It's about the same size as the NHL, right? The National Hockey League for those non-Canadians out there. Even though most of the teams are in the U.S., nobody cares. But we think by 2017, and other people believe by 2017, it's going to be as big as the NFL in terms of number of fans, and those fans are right underneath us. These are not just kids. These aren't 13-year-old kids, man. These are people that are my age. Bryce is an esports fan. He loves football. I love football. We love esports. But there's so many people out there that don't know what a football is or don't care what a football is, that just love esports, right? And so it is it's a big industry that is just humming right now. And for the first time in our history, you've seen big brands come into the space. So you got brands like Coca-Cola, Red Bull, and all that stuff coming into space. Yeah. But you also have VCs and angels coming into the space now, right? The people, even the investors in Seattle are now picking up on it. Oh my God, this esports thing's really cool. We should invest in that. Yeah. Welcome to my taillights.
Yeah, exactly. So where do you think, if you could put a crystal ball on, right? Look at a crystal ball and say, okay, 2 years from now, we are going to be at X. I'll make it a little easier. Maybe it's not easier. 2 years from now, the industry is going to be at X.
Sure. 2 years from now, your kids will be going to college, and they'll be able to get a scholarship on esports, and it'll be sooner than that. In fact, it's happening now, but I'm talking about Ivy League. You'll be able to go to Harvard, Stanford, those schools, and get a scholarship on esports for being a very, very good player. And I'm going to tell you why. People are like, well, no, there's no fucking way you're going to get it. No. You will, and I'm going to explain why. Because there is a direct correlation between those who are high functioning on games like League and Dota, to their ability to collaborate, to lead teams, to work well under pressure, and their best players are extremely good at math, and they're quick when they think. So those are the type of students you want in your schools, man. That's it. You want those people in your schools, and
So you believe those are actually going to be recruited to go to Harvard?
100%, 100,000% it's going to happen.
Okay.
So that's going to happen. Then on top of that, you're going to see more industries coming out of this. So how do you monetize this space? We talked about the numbers earlier. You said 200 million to 600 million. Whatever. It's tiny, right? Yeah. Compared to the number of fans. Oh my God, are you kidding me? It's a fraction of real sports. Look at the NFL. Look at the NHL. The NHL generates a shit ton of money. I don't even know how much it is. It's a shit ton. You can quote that. Hashtag shit ton.
Yeah.
And yet esports
that's more than $1 billion for you people who don't know.
Exactly. Esports does a fraction of that, and so the market opportunity, the TAM is very big, right? So the market opportunity is that. This is why smart VCs like Jonathan Teo are getting into the space, because he's smart.
Yeah. So I can see scholarships. That makes sense. Because it you want bright people at your school. What about you? Where's Unikrn going to be 2 years from now?
So what is our vision for Unikrn, right? I believe that when you think about a vision, right?
So I'm going to sit down here in 2 years.
Yeah.
And I'm going to interview you again.
Yeah.
Where are we going to be sitting?
Or sooner. So when I think about a vision statement, I think some of the best vision statements are the ones that are aspirational. The best vision statement I've heard was a computer on every desk. This is like Microsoft's vision, right? It's beautiful. Some people come up with vision statements that are like giant mission statements. They don't know what a vision actually is. A vision for us is when somebody utters the word esports, they immediately think of unicorn, right? That's what's going to happen. And I'm convinced that's going to happen. We are going to be unicorn. We are going to be esports. And that is our vision, right? And the way we get there is through our mission, which is we are here to heighten the experience and increase the engagement for those who participate or watch esports.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, in the audience right now, raise your hand if you have not played a game online. Holy crap.
It's a lot of people.
It's a lot of people.
A lot of sad, helpless people. Yeah. There's therapy for that. It's
Okay, I was just, that's interesting to see that, right?
Yeah.
So we're, 2 years from now, we're probably going to see two hands in the audience.
Yeah, 2 years from now, you'll probably see two hands in the audience. I think what happens is the audience is remains about the same age, right? Because, you've got like the younger generations coming up and getting into entrepreneurship and this sort of thing. And the audience grew up on this stuff, right? Like I'm an anomaly in the sense that I grew up playing video games. So I was like a geek when I was a kid. I used to get bullied, a ton.
Sure.
And, but I had every console ever known to man. I had everything from an Intellivision to an Atari 2600. I had a ColecoVision. I had a Neo Geo. How many of you know what a Neo Geo is? Nobody? Okay, wow, some people do. So I actually had a Neo Geo. I spent a lot of money on that fucking thing, right? And so I had every console ever known, and I played games growing up. And then I started a gaming company when I was 17, right? And then I that's all I know. All I knew was gaming. Now, 3-year-olds are playing games on iPads, on iPhones, and then they graduate. They go to Minecraft. Then they play Minecraft for a while. They're doing Minecraft classes in school, and then guess what happens? They go from Minecraft to League of Legends, and then they learn League, and then they go to Dota if they're really smart or quirky. They go to Dota, right? And then beyond that, if they're violent, they go to CS:GO. I'm just kidding, but no, they are. My kids are violent. They play CS:GO, but that's not true. CS:GO is a great game, but the thing is that it's part of their culture, right? And for them, it's normal to play games. For them, texting each other, and not talking to each other is part of their culture. For them, not going out and socializing with their friends on a game of League is normal. So if your kids are in their room playing the computer, don't tell them to get off the computer. Try and understand why it is that they're doing what they're doing. Because if that's all you do, you are not getting it, right? And you are not being it's okay to get them off. Yes, go do some exercise, go do whatever. But there's something that they're doing online that you need to know about, and you're missing out if you don't.
Yeah. So just stay abreast of what's happening.
Stay abreast.
Abreast.
I like that.
Yeah,
Yes.
stay abreast. So what have you changed from the original vision? Let's say 10 months from now, you had an idea. Has it changed any? Have you made any serious changes, or for the most part just?
We haven't made any. I don't think we've made any serious changes. We've pivoted just a little here and there. We've tweaked our product a little bit. I don't think we made any. I mean, Jason, do you think we made any serious changes? Nothing, right? Netta? No. We've been pretty dead set on this course, and the world just kind of came around us, I guess you could say, right? I mean, our timing couldn't have been better. We came out, we made a ton of really good noise. There's ways to make noise, and there's good noise and there's bad noise. We made a ton of really good noise. We created a lot of interest, and now there's a lot of people following the draft, which is great, right? Yeah.
And what for Rahul, what has been the biggest learning over the last let's just say 10 months since you left Microsoft? What's the thing that you learned about Rahul, not about anything else? Like, what did you learn about Rahul that was a surprise, I guess?
I learned that I am. Well, first of all, I'm much older than I was when I started my first company, and
Sure.
And when you're older, I would say, look, I work just as hard as I always have, right? I still work 20 hours a day or whatever it is. I go home, I check emails and that sort of thing. But I think when you're older, you start to appreciate a little bit more about what's happening around you, right? And I think you appreciate the people around you more than you have in the past. I think you appreciate people more, and that it kind of makes me a little emotional in the sense that I like people a lot and I want my people to be really happy, but but it also sometimes makes me make wrong decisions because I'm making the decision on the about people versus what's good for the company.
Yeah, but that's not a bad thing sometimes.
It isn't sometimes, but it can be if it's a problem, right? And sometimes you just have to make quick, really hard decisions, and that's something I have to get better at.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And is Carl helping with that, or?
Carl helps with everything. He's like my best friend. I mean, I'm surprised. Like, I'm disappointed he's not here. His car broke down earlier today. He has a stupid car. The key doesn't work, if you can believe that. And he's trying to give it back to the dealer. But Carl is everything that I'm not, which is what makes us successful. I
Good
think.
team. Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
You think it's gotten harder or easier to, and this is more of a broad stroke question, do you think it's gotten harder or easier to start a company in the last, I guess, 6 years? So the last one you started.
Easier.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh my God. There's never been a time a better time to build a company than now, right? Look, people get out of school and they're in debt and they can't get jobs. So what do? You go start a company. The access to capital is here. Even though the markets are tanking, the markets are red, whatever. As long as you have a good idea and you're good at executing and you can actually create something, go start a company. It's much easier to start a company now than it ever was. Oh my God, when I started Voodoo, can you imagine trying to build PCs out of Calgary? Like, holy smokes. Not only trying to build PCs, but actually sell them, and then outside of your city sell them, build a brand. Like, that stuff is impossible to do back then. There's no incubators, there's no accelerators, there's no VCs, there's nobody to talk to. Here you got WeWork, and like we're all in a room. Like at WeWork, there's people around here that are working on all sorts of stuff, and we walk by people all the time. They come see us, we see them. Sometimes competitors walk by and we troll them by putting up plans on our whiteboard, which isn't real. And that actually happened, by the way.
Nice.
But yeah, you don't have that stuff when I was growing up, and now you do. So you should be inspired by that, and take advantage of it.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree. What is the if you could sit down, someone in this room that was first company they ever started, never started a company before, and they're starting a company, and they're fairly green. What would you tell them the two things that they need to manage their brand new company that they're starting? What would be the two things the most important things?
Most important things are A, find a partner. You have to find a partner who is willing and able to take the risks that you're taking, first of all. And that partner has to be somebody who complements your weaknesses. They're not your copycat.
Sure.
If they are, you have a problem.
Yes.
That's not your partner, right? That's somebody you're going to fight with all the time. I fight with Carl, but rarely do we fight. And we fight for the right reasons, right?
Sure.
So A, find a partner, and B, do not raise money from friends and family first round. That's the worst thing you could possibly do to anybody, because giving friends and family, giving anyone the opportunity, and I say this, if you want to raise money, it should be an opportunity, right? It shouldn't be you going out hat in hand and trying to pitch someone. It should be an opportunity that you're creating for them, because your investors are so important to you. Because if you fail, your investors, it's okay to fail, but you keep that relationship with your investors and you keep it going and you try again, like they're going to be there for you at the end of the day, right? So it's important that you don't raise money with friends and family at the beginning. You bring them on when there's an opportunity. So you bring them on when you have some great people on board and you have some traction. Then you bring them on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And tell us how you found the people on your team. How have you gone about finding? I mean, obviously you talked about playing games, no question, which is great. I can't tell you how many business deals I've created by playing basketball, because you learn things about the people you're playing with. Tell us how you.
So
how did you create that
So
team?
that's recruiting, right? This is an art in itself.
Yeah.
Be a magnet for talent. That's something that I learned when I was at Voodoo. We were in an oil and gas city. I don't know if you guys know what Calgary is, but
Calgary can't.
Calgary is basically the oiliest, gassiest city in the world.
Yes.
There's so many cowboys there and cows, and there was no tech when I was growing up there. I was born in Razer. I can say whatever the hell I want about Calgary. If anyone is offended, sorry, I was born there, right? And imagine being Indian, growing up in a highly cowboyish town, it's oil and gas, and you're trying to build a tech company. It's hard, right? I'm not saying, I'm not trying to throw the race card or anything like that, but I am saying that it was hard. But what we did was we created a company that was really cool. We created an amazing brand. We got a ton of, great press, and we became a magnet. And the people came to us for jobs, right? We're kind of turning into a magnet. I'm happy to say I'm knocking on wood right now because we got people that are coming to us looking for jobs that are really talented, that love the space, and they're all unicorns. Everyone on our team is a unicorn. They're all quirky for some weird reason, right? Sure. Like, Jason had to be the quirkiest guy I had met, Like, he didn't say anything. He didn't talk much when he came into the office, but on League, he was great. And then he completely broke out of his shell, and now he's like a normal guy. But he's a unicorn, right? Yeah. Bryce is a lawyer. Okay, I'm going to say this, a lawyer. he worked at a big law firm, Foster Pepper, right?
Sure.
And you know how I found him? I did the GeekWire Startup Day. I was speaking there, and there was like 500 people in the audience. Yeah. And there was a lady in the audience who came up to me after. And by the way, we didn't really talk much about Unikrn. I just said, I'm starting this company called Unikrn. It happens to be in eSports. I'm not going to say anything. This was in January. And she came up after, she goes, I know this guy you should meet. I said, why? And she said, well, he plays a lot of League of Legends. And I said, okay, I've met a lot of those. Sure. She goes, yeah, but he's a lawyer who's setting up an esports practice. And I said, okay, I want to meet this guy. Yeah. I met Bryce. He came into our office. I had him come in, and Joe Whalen represents us, right? Joe's a great lawyer. We love Joe. But Bryce came in, and he wasn't really looking to be our lawyer so much. We weren't really sure what to make of him. Carl and I were talking to him. We were talking for 10 minutes, and then Carl and I looked at each other while Bryce was in the room. And we said, why don't we just hire this guy? And I said, yeah, I think we should just hire this guy. And Bryce, we were acting like Bryce wasn't even there. And we ended up hiring him. So we took him out of Foster Pepper and brought him on as our full-time attorney.
And you really didn't need a full-time attorney.
We didn't, but Bryce is not just a full-time attorney. He's
great at Legends.
He is a full-time League of Legends player who happens to be an attorney and represents some of the top players in the industry. And he's really good at business development, and he's a passionate entrepreneur who comes from entrepreneurial DNA. His parents own Butch Blum, which is like the high-end clothing company in Seattle. Yeah. So he comes from entrepreneurial DNA. So these are the kind of people that we're hiring, right? And everyone else, like I can tell you, everyone on our team is a quirky unicorn. We just acquired a team from India. I can't tell you anything about it yet, but I'll tell you later. Sure. They're all unicorns. Like this whole team is crazy, you know. So and we discovered them and brought them on. So I don't know. Everyone's a unicorn. Carl's a unicorn. Carl's the only guy who works out, 24 hours a day and looks like he does and runs a company. And everyone knows what he looks like, right? I mean, if you don't know what he looks like, come to my shrine and you can see afterwards. He's a fascinating person, and he's a unicorn as well. Yeah. Carl always likes to tell the story. He grew up with dirt floors in his house, right? And he was a bartender. And he was a bartender before he started Pinion. He never went to school. He never graduated from high school, okay? This is a true story. Yeah. Never graduated from high school, was a bartender, but the most creative marketer I've ever met in my life, okay? When he ran the bar, he had the most successful bar in Sydney. And he had this event called, and by the way, in Australia, it's okay to be politically incorrect, okay? So he had this thing called Lap Dance the Bartender, and Carl was the bartender, and he had lineups of women coming down the street to lap dance. It was so stupid. It's the dumbest idea I've ever heard in my life, but Carl thinks like in the weirdest ways. And when he started Pinion, and with Arthur and others, he came up with some amazing marketing ideas and the most creative marketing ideas. And Carl's a unicorn, so that's what it's all about.
Yeah, no, it's all like I said.
I can't believe I just told that story. He's gonna kill me. So, oops.
Yeah, it's all good.
He's not here.
So questions. Go ahead, and I've got more questions. But if there's any questions boiling in your guys' heads, feel free to raise your hand, and I'll get you. Go ahead, Liz. How do you achieve work-life balance? You don't achieve work-life balance. It's work-life integration, right? I do not believe in work-life balance. I think that's a saying that goes along with working in a big corporate. It's work-life integration, and nowadays the way technology works, you've got your phone with you, you can check email,
if you love what you do, you don't want to achieve work-life balance. You want to integrate your home life into your work. You want to integrate your work into your home life. And so we love what we do so much. We do it all the time. And I get plenty of time with my kids. Obviously I spend a ton of time at home with my kids, but it's work-life integration. Yeah.
Yeah. All the way back.
How do you guys set the odds in the casino?
How do you guys set the odds in the casino?
Yeah. So we have some amazing odds makers, and again, these people are unicorns. We hired we hired the first person to actually create an odds on a League of Legends tournament, and started the first company to take a bet on League of Legends. We hired this guy, and we started to develop technology around what's happening in his brain and other people's brains. To say how do we do what you do and automate it on the cloud. We built technology around it, and we built some really smart technology around odds making. We're also building technology, and we have technology currently that takes computer vision and captures data live in real time. And then we have recently taken over this company that takes data and makes it look visually beautiful. We are a technology company. We are not a marketing company. Unikrn is a technology company more than anything else. And we create those odds. Those odds are very important to us because it's big IP that we can resell. And that's the reason that Tabcorp loves us so much, is because this is how we think. So
Yeah, that would be for their business.
For them it's great.
Hugely important. So in your process of building the company, what has been the point of debate with your partners and whoever those are? I don't care if it's Carl or whoever.
Yep.
What's been the big point of debate? What's been the biggest argument or the biggest debate?
You know what? I think the biggest argument for him and I, I think it happened it happened very recently, and it was if I recall, it was about process and structure more than anything else. I tend to work without process, and he tends to work with structure, but he doesn't like giving other people structure, right? And it was about people, and because of the clash of no process and structure. It was about people, and we both care about people, and we had to make a couple of very hard decisions, and there was some arguing that went on around it, but at the end of the day, the decisions we made were the right decisions. People is hard. It's a hard problem, always is, and it's you have to have the right people with the right mindset, and they all have to be on board the same ship that you're on.
Yeah.
And if they're not at this stage, the startup stage that we're at right now, the first people that you hire, so first there's your co-founder, but the first people you hire, they're the misfits, right? They are the people that make the company. And then, after the misfits, you start to bring in people that are sort of the infrastructure people, the educated people, we call them,
exactly.
right? Kunal is the educated misfit that we hired. He's from Groupon and Microsoft, and he tried his hand at entrepreneurship for a while. His wife used to work with me at Microsoft. He is he brought in the structure, he brought in the discipline. He's a brilliant guy. He graduated with a Master's of Science in Mumbai, then he moved to Chicago. He graduated with an MBA from Booth, and he's working at a startup. And he came on for next to nothing originally, just because he believed in our vision so much, and he quickly earned his way up to the COO spot of the company. Yeah. That's how it works, right? And so the people that you hire at the beginning, the misfits, are the people you want to keep, even if they may not be in the right role at the right time. You figure it out, and if you can't figure it out, it's a very hard thing to go through.
And how do you help? How do you kind of figure it out?
Oh man, it goes back to culture, right? It goes back to sometimes you got to go with your gut, and sometimes you got to listen, but at the end of the day, you have to really think about what is best for the company, right? There's no easy way to figure it out. What's important to note is the first people that you hire in the company are the misfits, and they're the people that should be there for a long time because they're always the ones coming up with the dumb ideas that one of those ideas is going to be a good one, right? And they just go and they get stuff done. And that's just super, super, super important to keep. Because if you don't keep it, you could lose the culture. You know, there's so many big companies out there that have no culture, and they're trying to get a culture. How do you create a culture in a big company? You can't, right? If it's not there, you're in trouble. Apple has a culture. It came down from Steve Jobs. Now what, right? You know, they had a culture, and you know, you have to assume, you have to hope that culture stays. Microsoft's had 3 CEOs in its entire history, right? And that's pretty damn good, because if you look at HP had a mess of CEOs, and they destroyed the company successively over time. So culture is so important, especially as you grow the company. And so it's important to have the misfits there so they can help to kind of guide that culture.
Yeah. Other questions, guys? Go ahead.
So you were able to raise money very quickly.
Yeah.
Had you not raised money, then what have been 3 things you focused on?
If we had not, okay, so the question was, had we not raised money, what were the 3 things we'd be focusing on early in the company? Building a company where people would want to put money in would be the first thing I'd say, right? Like, if there is a reason you're not raising money, it's usually because you're doing something wrong. Either A, you're not hustling, or B, you're not building, right? And you're not building something that matters. It's one of the two. It can't be anything else, because there's money out there to be had. There's all kinds of money out there. There's dumb money and there's really smart money. The money you want is the smart money, but if you can't even get dumb money, you're doing something wrong. So it's either a lack of hustle, which means either you have a full-time job and you're trying to raise money because you don't want to quit your job. That never works, right? Or B, you don't have a product that's worth investing in. That's it. I'm sorry to say, but that's the way it works, right? If you're well, you can completely bootstrap. I bootstrap Voodoo. Right? Voodoo, at the end of the day, there was only one shareholder. Like, my brother was a shareholder and I was a shareholder, but there was no investors in the company. I bootstrapped that company. It took a very long time, 16 years before it sold to HP. You know, depends how much time you have, right? I mean, I don't have 16 years now. I don't. I want to blow this thing up, right? I mean, in a good way, and see what happens, you know. And then I want to go, you know, do something, do it again. I don't know. Maybe not. You know, maybe I'll just chill. But
you won't.
But the cool thing about capital now is if you get capital, you can inject it to grow the company quicker. So bootstrapping, I respect people who bootstrap. I think it's awesome. But I think you risk being a lifestyle business by bootstrapping. And you have to decide, you want a lifestyle? Nothing wrong with that. But if you want a growth business and you want, you know, a capital upside, you probably want to raise. So it's a choice.
Yeah, it's a choice and philosophy. Yeah, you choose either way. Back, Nick.
What was it like pitching a company called Unikrn to VCs at the beginning?
What was it like pitching a company called Unikrn to VCs?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, look, you know, we had you know, I always tell people that the brand is not the logo that you put on a T-shirt, right? It's you know, most startups make the mistake of assuming their brand is their logo, and really brand is the outcome of creating a beautiful product with a great vision, a crazy culture, and then ultimately getting a fan base and a community that becomes the soul of your brand. You know, for us, we went out and we focused on what we actually did and our team and the market size and all of that stuff. And we happened to have a beautiful logo, right? It was really cool, and people looked at it and they thought, "Wow, this is really, really cool. This logo is something I haven't seen in a while. It's very aggressive. It makes me think about unrest, and this is the kind of stuff that we wanted to have people think." Although I remember a day we were hanging Christmas lights up here at WeWork, right? They just put our decals up, and this lady walks by and she goes, "Excuse me." I said, "What?" I was being nice. I said, "Yes, how can I help you?" She said, "Did you guys just like come up with that logo?" I'm like, what do you mean? She goes, "Did you just come up with that?" I said, "Yeah, kind of." She goes, "Because it really looks like a gun. You know, is that what you intended?" And no, we didn't intend that. But I did say, "Yeah, that's exactly what we intended." When actually, it's a unicorn. I said, "By the way, we play video games here, and they're very violent." And she was on the corner of ours, and I kid you not, a week later she moved out. Right, Netta? She moved out. I don't know who she was, but she moved out less than a week later. But yeah, that's the one comment we had that was negative about the logo. So yeah, that's what it's like pitching VCs with a name like Unikrn.
Yeah.
Getting back to the question.
Exactly. Any other questions, guys?
How are we gonna give out these shirts?
That's what I was just going to say that.
Okay.
So, who has a letter A in their first name?
Oh, God. How are you going to do this? It's a lot of people.
Okay, so whoever has the letter A in your first name, I'm going to give you a shirt, thanks to the Unikrn crew.
Oh, that's
so
nice.
take a shirt.
That
Now,
was easy.
here's the deal. If it's not your size, trade with somebody who has a shirt. I'm not going to size all you guys. So here, there you go. An A in your first name. And I can see your name tag, so don't be lying to me. You only get one shirt. I don't care how many A's you get, you only have one shirt. There you go. Okay, so I might have picked the right letter. Okay, who else over here on this side? A's, 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 an A, an A. Is there any left up there, Rahul?
Yeah, there's 4 or 5, I think.
Okay, so we got
4.
4 over here. You take here. Take this one, hand that one. Oh, okay, I guess. Who we got all the way in the back? So I got 4 shirts here. So make sure that you know the size of your own self, and you can switch up. I got 2 shirts left. So who has
There's one
a?
gentleman here that's Canadian, and he said A, so that counts.
He's Canadian. Canadian. Okay. So I got 1 shirt left. Let me see. What size is that, Real?
That looks like, let me see. Small. Who's a small?
Who's a small? Size small. Whoa.
There you go.
There you go.
Perfect.
Okay, so what size is this, Liz?
Large.
This is a large?
There's a large over here.
No, I don't. No more of that.
Okay.
No more of that at all.
What size is that one?
What size is this?
Small.
This is
Who's a
small. Okay, so who's a small? It doesn't have a shirt.
Small. There you go.
There we go. Okay. Okay. So we got time for one more question. If you have one more question, anyone else? All the way in the back.
I should probably know more about this, but the tech that powers the platform, I mean, is that something you guys acquired or built or what?
No, so it's a great question, actually.
Repeat that.
What?
What was the question? I didn't
Oh,
hear.
sorry. The question was, the tech that runs the platform, is that something we acquired or built? We have a few different pieces of technology. So back in 2007 or 8, I helped start a company based in Berlin that combines betting with video games. It's called PlayAll. And what it does is it lets you play games like Call of Duty and Counter-Strike and Unreal Tournament against your friends for money. You put money in your account, they put money in their account, and you shoot each other and you win based on who's winning. It's true. And the technology is unbelievable. It was built on the most solid platform. It was way ahead of its time, and we ended up shelving it. When Unikrn started, I acquired the company and the team based in Berlin. So that was one part of it. The second part is that team that we acquired built a lot of the back end and the odds making part of our business. And they are, it's a great friend of mine. He's a CTO, wonderful guy, and is one of the first 3 shareholders of the company. So that's how we built it. So we have an office in Berlin with an amazing team there. Yeah.
Well, first of all, I'd love to say thank you very much.
There was one more question here. Let's just answer that real
Shanika?
quick.
Can girls be good gamers?
Make it quick.
Oh, can girls be good gamers?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. There's so let me just say something. So I actually advocate for finding. We want to sponsor the first woman in the LCS because there isn't one, unfortunately. And this is the League of Legends Championship Series, right? Esports is the only place. It's really the only sport where men and women can play on the same team against each other. And it's an even playing field,
Sure.
right? It is, because there's no physical whatever whatever limitations. It's totally different.
Just mental.
So yes, women can be good gamers, and they should be. And my daughter is an amazing gamer, and and so like I see it coming. I see that day coming. So yes, 100%. Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay, again, thank you all for being here, number one. Rahul, thank you very much. I think you're doing such great things for the city of Seattle and what you're doing with esports.
Thank you.
It's unique. You know, it's not like everything else. You are opinionated, which is good and bad.
Good and bad?
Yeah, it's good and bad.
All right.
Right?
Yep.
I
I got that feedback when I was at Microsoft quite often.
yeah, exactly.
Thank you, boss, for that.
And you know, I just really appreciate being here in the community and just doing what you're doing. So keep it up, and I think you're just doing an awesome job. So
Thanks, man. Appreciate it. And thanks, WeWork, for hosting us here. It's awesome.
yeah, thank you. We work. Thanks.